Well, thanks, Bungie. I originally planned to bring out a build today that was focused around the new chest exotic, but it has been disabled as of the recording of this video, and I don't know how long it will be until it's undisabled. So that video is going to stay locked away until I have another time to upload it when it's not disabled anymore. But today's video is going to be about pretty much a similar build, but this time it's going to be more endgame focused. It's my ultimate Endgame Void Hunter 3.0 build. So we're going to go for the subclass, talk about the weapons a little bit, and also talk about all the mods and such, as we always do. And if you are new here and you enjoy my content, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the notification bell as always. It really helps out the channel. Check the link in the description for the dim link for the build as well if you want to be able to go and grab all the mods and such. So let's jump into subclass and then the build. So let's talk about the subclass. We're obviously on Night Stalker this time, and we're going to be on Void. Highly recommend Mobius Quiver, purely because you get 2 of them, which fires 3 Void arrows, makes things volatile, increases your damage to the tethered targets, and also creates Orb of Power. This is also very good as well, because when you use Deadfall, it lasts a little bit longer, but it's just not as good as Mobius Quiver. Don't recommend using Spectral Blades here. That's just not going to be very, very good for you. On the aspects, we are running Vanishing Step. When you dodge, you become invisible. This is awesome. I love this, which is going to be the main point of the build. Trapper's Ambush. This essentially gives you the ability to do an air dodge, which is called Quick Fall, and allows you to put a smoke cloud down and weaken enemies around you, make your allies invisible, and also when you throw a smoke bomb, when it attaches to a wall, it can make enemies, your allies, invisible as well. So as you'll be able to see here, if I jump up in the end in my air dodge, that's what we'll do, and then also you can throw it at the wall, and that will also, when that activates, you can make yourself invisible as well. But back to the subclass. The fragments, these two are kind of that I'm going to talk about are like the compulsory ones. Echo of Reprisal is going to be great because Final Blows, when you're surrounded by combatants, gives you super energy. You're going to be invisible around a lot of enemies, so this is what you want. And then Echo of Undermining, because it gives you a 15% debuff. It's not the best, but if you're playing solo or in a team of 3, this could be a very, very good tool to be able to get rid of some of those champion targets that are going to be a little bit annoying. Lastly, this is a swappable one. Echo of Persistence allows you to have increased Overshield, Devour, and Invisibility duration. You could swap this out and actually go with Devour if you really wanted to, but I just highlight this because I like having a little bit more time being invisible if I need to. We're also obviously the Snare Bomb, Vortex Grenade's fantastic, and Gambler's Dodge. The reason why I don't need to focus mobility as much here is when you dodge near enemies, you fully recharge your melee ability. So it's just super easy. You're going to get 2 of them because of the exotic that we're running. And it just makes it, strength not really needing to have it. And also mobility doesn't need to have as much of it as well because of what our subclass is doing. But let's run through the mods, and then we'll also talk about weapons as well. Stats first and foremost. Resilience 100 because it's OP at the moment, gives you a 40% damage reduction. Mobility you don't really need. Strength you don't need. Discipline. Recovery is obviously you don't really need it when you've got the damage resistance and you're going to be invisible. Recovery is also nice to have if you can get tier 5 recovery with the resilience and then the discipline. This is fantastic. This would be tier 100, but I have a minus 20 on my subclass, so as you can see there. For the mods though, we'll talk about the exotic in just a moment. We have a Well of Tenacity and 2 Harmonic Siphon, purely because this allows you to get a bunch of Orbs of Power, which is fantastic. The way that we're going to be activating Well of Tenacity is via Reaping Wellmaker. When you activate your class ability, you get Void Elemental Well. This allows you to activate your Well of Tenacity. Elemental Ordnance as well is going to be another way for you to add another way to be able to activate Well of Tenacity. Then we have Elemental Time Dilation, which is increasing the duration of Well of Tenacity as well. So just damage resist upon damage resist upon damage resist. On top of that, Omninoculus, when you are invisible, you have increased damage resistance. And also when you make your teammates invisible as well, they also gain damage resistance. And also you get melee energy back. Font of Might is optional here. You could swap this out and get another Well of Tenacity to increase the duration with elemental time dilation. I am running Font of Might because if I run Void Weapons, I get a 25% damage boost, which is fantastic. So this is optional for the build. I obviously have Thermoshock Plating and Void Resistance. This is just the only seasonal mod that you will see on here that will change season upon season. Likewise, on our gauntlets, we have just the seasonal mods here. I'll remove these in the actual dim link of the build anyway. So that is why we are running those and what you can do with all of the stats. Let's talk about weapons though, because the weapons are going to be specifically aimed for endgame this season. We obviously have a bunch of these, and we have overload machine guns and anti-barrier sniper rifles. Succession is fantastic, or any other sniper that hits hard, you can run Izanagi's Burden if you swap out our exotics here. But anything that can deal with barriers is going to be fantastic. I highly recommend a Void weapon. Le Monarch is wonderful because, one, it has Snapshot and Unrelenting on it, and it also overloads enemies and does a decent amount of damage, and you're going to get that boost from Font of Might. You can swap this out and run for something that's more match game focused, like a solar pulse rifle or an arc pulse rifle or a solar auto rifle. Whatever you want to go with, you can obviously swap out the Le Monarch, but I just love it for that instant overload. And then obviously we have a corrective measure here, which is going to take advantage of overload machine gun. You can swap this out for a linear, for a rocket launcher, whatever you need for the situation. And I highly recommend I run all this purely for the fact that I love Le Monarch, and it really helps out in a lot of different activities. So you can swap these out, but that's the overall build. We'll talk about it right now in the final parts of the video. Overall, this build is going to be fantastic for all activities in the game. The Omnioculus giving you that extra resist, alongside Well of Tenacity being able to give you extra resist stacked on top, is going to be very, very good and keep you alive in a lot of activities, whether that's master content or grandmaster content. This is going to be great because you're going to be able to get your team out of situations if they are in trouble. You can also do the shatter dive type deal and like make all of your teammates invisible if you get in a tough spot. The upside to running Reaping Wellmaker and also Elemental Ordnance is that you're going to get Elemental Wells from your grenades, but the other aspect is that you're going to be consistently making Void Elemental Wells for you whenever you need them to have that damage resistance, whenever you need them, because when you dodge, you get a kill, so it doesn't matter what you are using. If you are running Font of Might, obviously it would be more recommended that you run a Void weapon, and that would be a lot more helpful. Le Monarch is going to be very good for overload, and overload is probably going to be using a couple of different strikes this season, or you could use it with a LMG or even a rocket if you really wanted to for extra DPS. But if you wanted to drop the Font of Might and add in another mod of your choosing, whether or not you double up on Well of Tenacity to get extra length thanks to the elemental time dilation, is entirely up to you. Could be very beneficial, but for master content, I think having, you know, a Void weapon is going to be very good. So anything specifically Void in the game is going to be very good. And also just having that extra damage resistance on top of Omnioculus as well. You don't need to spam abilities out in this build. It's not an ability spam build. You want to get your dodge back, and you want to get your melee back to be able to throw smokes, and that is what's going to keep you alive. That's the whole focus of it, rather than just being able to put massive amounts of damage out and absolutely slay stuff. It's just about survivability, keeping you alive and keeping your teammates alive as well. But that's the build. Hopefully you enjoy it, and I will have the other version of this build coming out when I have the disabled exotic back from Bungie, because at this present moment in time the Falcon is disabled, so I can't show off that chest piece. I had a really cool build planned up for that, and I'll probably switch up that video. I might re-record it just to make sure that I talk about why it was disabled, and also talk about some other weapon options as well. But if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the notification bell as always. And go and check out the links in the description for Dim and all of my socials. And as always, this has been Jimbo. I'll see you guys next time.